The Reacher Season 3 finale's excellent and subtle Die Hard reference explained. Jack Reacher meets John McClane, with Reacher Season 3 paying tribute to one of the action genre's all-time great movies. 1988's Die Hard remains one of the defining pieces of high-octane action cinema, and its influence remains visible on both the big and small screen. Since Prime Video's Reacher is arguably the genre's current champion as far as TV output is concerned, it comes as no surprise that Reacher and Die Hard share certain strands of DNA. In many ways, Alan Ritchson's Jack Reacher occupies the opposite end of the action hero spectrum compared to Bruce Willis's John McClane. Reacher is physically imposing, whereas McClane is more of an underdog. Reacher is a legend of the military police, whereas McClane begins as a regular NYPD detective. Nevertheless, Reacher and Die Hard both revolve around the notion that one man going rogue in the name of justice can bring down pesky criminals the authorities cannot, and Reacher Season 3's ending makes that comparison far more direct. Reacher Season 3's finale turns Villanueva into Die Hard's John McClane. In a clever nod, Reacher Season 3's finale transforms Roberto Montesino's Guillermo Villanueva into the show's version of John McClane, all with one simple costume change. The moment comes after Reacher's gang infiltrates Zachary Beck's mansion on their final mission to thwart Xavier Quinn. Neagley decides to go undercover as a server, which requires borrowing Villanueva's white shirt as a makeshift disguise. Left without a replacement, Villanueva is then left to complete the entire mission in his white vest, which gets progressively bloodier and dirtier across the remainder of the episode. Any action hero who has saved the day while wearing nothing on their top half but a white vest is almost certainly paying tribute to Willis's action hero. A relatively small detail it may be, but the sight of a vest-clad Villanueva playing action hero cannot help but evoke memories of John McClane roaming around Nakatomi Plaza in Die Hard. McClane's rough and ready attire is an iconic image burned onto pop culture's eyelids, and just as the bandana came to symbolize Rambo, the white vest became a trademark of Willis playing John McClane in Die Hard. Since Die Hard's release, any action hero who has saved the day while wearing nothing on their top half but a white vest is almost certainly paying tribute to Willis's action hero. Villanueva in Reacher Season 3 is no exception to that. Villanueva and John McClane actually have a lot in common. Just as Reacher's Die Hard Easter egg feels unlikely to be coincidental, the fact that Villanueva is specifically chosen for the white vest treatment also carries a deeper level of significance. While Jack Reacher and John McClane are quite distinct as individuals, the Die Hard protagonist shares far more in common with Villanueva. Prime Video's Reacher has never been shy about tipping its hat to classic action fare, but Season 3's finale took that homage to a whole new level, subtly weaving in a brilliant reference to Die Hard that only the most eagle-eyed fans would catch. It wasn't loud. It wasn't flashy. But it was there. And it was perfect. Let's dive into the reference, why it works so well, and how it encapsulates everything Reacher gets right about being a modern-day action series with a deep respect for its genre roots. The setup, classic action with a modern edge. Reacher Season 3 loosely adapts Persuader, Lee Child's seventh Jack Reacher novel, which throws the hulking XMP into an undercover mission involving drug runners, a kidnapped DEA agent, and a fortified coastal mansion crawling with armed guards. The stakes are high, the bullets plentiful, and the body count, predictably, climbs with each episode. But in the final episode, when Reacher infiltrates the villain's stronghold during a stormy night classic, something feels familiar. The security cameras. The cat and mouse games in narrow hallways. The improvised weapons. The bare-bones, no-nonsense approach to survival. It's all very Die Hard, but it's one moment in particular that seals the deal. The moment. A barefoot nod to McClane. Roughly 34 minutes into the episode, Reacher ditches his boots before crawling through a tight utility tunnel leading to a boiler room beneath the compound. It's a tactical decision. He needs to move quietly and quickly, and he trades traction for silence. As he navigates the metal piping and concrete passages barefoot, he winces ever so slightly when stepping on loose debris. Now, if you're a casual viewer, it's just another example of Reacher doing whatever it takes to win. But for fans of Die Hard, it's a sly callback to that scene, John McClane barefoot, glass shattering underfoot, grimacing as he bleeds his way through Nakatomi Plaza. Reacher doesn't end up bloodied like McClane, but the imagery is unmistakable. A lone hero shoeless, slipping through the guts of a building in a last-ditch effort to save the day. It's not parody. It's reverence. A modern myth saluting one of its forebears. Why it matters? Character through action. The reference works not just because it's clever, but because it reveals something deeper about Jack Reacher's character. He's often described as a thinking man's bruiser, a physically dominant figure who still outwits opponents as often as he outguns them. Like McClane, he's resourceful, adaptable, and comfortable operating without a safety net. Die Hard's McClane was never the invincible type. He was fallible, human, relatable. Season 3 of Reacher leans into that same vulnerability, albeit through a different lens. Reacher isn't afraid to get his hands dirty, or his feet torn up, if the job requires it. And in the season finale, we see him forgo brute force in favor of stealth, cunning, and yes, barefoot infiltration. It's a beautifully executed inversion of what many assume about Reacher. He's not just a hammer looking for a nail. He's a scalpel when necessary. And that one quiet nod to Die Hard encapsulates that better than any fistfight ever could. The broader influence, Die Hard's DNA in Reacher. It's no secret that Reacher owes a lot to the golden age of 1980s and 90s action films. Die Hard, Lethal Weapon, Commando, and First Blood are all part of its spiritual DNA. But Reacher never feels like a carbon copy. It takes inspiration, sure, but reinterprets it through a 21st century lens. The villains are less cartoonish, the stakes more grounded, and the action more precise. Still, those homages are there for fans who know where to look. Whether it's the claustrophobic suspense of infiltrating a heavily guarded building Die Hard, the solo operator energy of Rambo, or the procedural, military precision of clear and present danger, Reacher thrives on its ability to nod to the past while crafting something distinctly modern. The barefoot scene in Season 3's finale is a masterclass in this balancing act. It doesn't scream Easter egg. It simply exists, an organic, character-driven choice that also happens to mirror one of the most iconic moments in action cinema. Alan Ritchson, a modern-day McClane? Much has been said about Alan Ritchson's portrayal of Jack Reacher. Physically, he's the opposite of Bruce Willis's John McClane, towering, muscular, imposing. But in terms of spirit, the two share far more than you might think. They're both blue-collar heroes, disinterested in bureaucracy, fueled by a simple moral code, and more than willing to throw themselves into harm's way for a cause they believe in. Ritchson's Reacher isn't cracking wise like McClane, but he's got his own dry, laconic charm. And like McClane, he thrives in improvisation. In the Season 3 finale, he rigs distractions, disables power systems, and neutralizes enemies with whatever he can find, from steel pipes to gas valves. He's thinking on his feet, literally. This kinship between the characters isn't just a happy coincidence. It's part of a broader cultural archetype, the lone warrior who disrupts a corrupt system from the inside. McClane did it in a skyscraper. Reacher does it in a mansion on the cliffs of Maine. Same spirit, different zip code. A quiet tribute with loud implications, in a media landscape often dominated by